So many people out there are just denying that there's a spiritual realm. That's very dangerous. That's very dangerous not to realize that there's a spiritual realm. Secondly, well, I'm just going to go into some different things. Not only is it dangerous to be dumb and to ignore the fact that there's a spiritual realm, but it's extremely ignorant and even deadly to I'd just say extremely dangerous. When people act stupid or want to keep ignoring the fact that sometimes the ones who know a lot about the spiritual realm, when people assume that somebody it, knows a lot about the spiritual realm, and it's always a good thing that they know about that can be extremely dangerous. I want to touch upon another tangent as far as why it is that some people end up taking classes in different things. Some people take classes because, well, there's many different reasons. Sometimes people take classes because they want to find out more about themselves and find out, like, what is it that makes them tick and all that kind of stuff. People can end up taking classes because it's required in order to get the piece of paper. In order, called the diploma or the sheepskin. Sometimes people take classes in order to try to make sense of some things that have happened in their lives, in their life. So sometimes people who take classes do things for wrong reasons. It's kind of like a book can be read. Sometimes people take classes in order to kind of like read people. And the reason why they want to read people is not necessarily for good reasons. I've run into some very dangerous people who know a lot about mental health and have not used what they know or what is out there in mental health and studying like the way that the brain works and that kind of stuff in order to do good. I want to bring that up. The other thing is that sometimes some of the ones that are being the most destructive is part of, what is it called, core curriculum or whatever. They're required to take mental health classes, and it deals with them to be able to learn how to read people, but it deals with them doing that for not good reasons at all. It's more for their personal gain and for the destruction of people. It's just that they tend to leave a path of carnage after them, or a path of destruction after them. And that's the reason why I disagree with Robert Hare. I know that I'm repeating myself. That's the reason why I disagree with Robert Hare in saying that a brain scan or brain imaging has to be done. Some of the channels and the things that I have subscribed to do not mean that I necessarily agree with like 100% on what somebody is putting out. In fact, there's one that on the spiritual level, he's not getting it at all, and it's just really sad. It's like he gets it, but he doesn't get it. It's like he's fully aware of what kind of like the agent provocateurs, the Judas goats, whatever you want to call them, are like. But then yet, on the other hand, he's not remembering what he said earlier, and he's trying to encourage people to fight in the physical realm. I want to go into something that's very dangerous, and I'm but basically when I was on one path, it was it's almost kind of like the Cheshire Cats came off and smiled in my face to make sure that I was off the path that I was on. And I wouldn't bring up the bit about the Cheshire Cats and the smiles. It's like to me, a gigantic smile on the face is one of the biggest lures. It's lures, Lures, that somebody can have. And that many times people can lure people, Lure people, many different ways. They can do it with they can do it with gifts, they can do it with charm, they can do it with seduction, they can do it with there's just different ways that I've seen people sit there and lure people. Like well, one there were two guys that were up to no good, and they said they were going to go to a place where basically people were going, and that people were already at, and people were going to be going to it, and they basically were very arrogant in saying that they could pick up any woman at the place by sitting there and basically acting acting like they knew who Jesus is, and by saying certain buzzwords, and basically I call it Christianese for a reason. It's and that's part of the when somebody says God bless you, I'm like, oh man, do the red flags go up? But it's almost like they bring out their I can't even go into this stuff. I just what's sad is I mean, oh, there's some beautiful birds that just flew by. they were actually, I think that, I don't have my glasses on right now, but I think there were 3 hawks. That is wild. Uh, but hawks have a certain symbolism to me, so it's just really wild when I end up seeing a hawk fly by, and especially when something comes out of my mouth, uh, dealing with certain things. Um, oh, I also, I'm glad I went ahead and got the book on the biblical interpretation of dreams and stuff. Um, I ended up getting that because I didn't want just any book on dream interpretations, but I wanted something from a biblical perspective. I still haven't read it, the book, but I tend to draw in my books that I end up getting. I mean, I write in the margins, I highlight, I mean, but basically, it not only lets me know when have read a certain area, but it kind of like brings focus or attention to an area that I think might be something I need to be able to find easily. And I know some people look at treating different books as, oh, don't write in a book, but my attitude is a book many times it's of no value if you can't write in it, and if you can't sit there and underline and draw errors in it and do whatever else to it. And in fact, when it it dawns that, well, I'm gonna go more into stuff. The other thing I wanted to bring up is oh, and the ones that are doing the what it is there's different things. Remember that Jesus said, "Woe unto ye lawyers, woe unto ye hypocrites, woe unto the scribes, woe unto the Pharisees." Um, well, when I say that I like the Book of Revelation, it doesn't mean that I'm throwing out the other books. It means that for some reason that tends to be the book where it, like when I'm given different dreams and I'm given different visions, it tends to different things tend to have me go back into the Book of Revelation out of all the other books in the Bible. Um, I tend to use an eclectic approach, which means it's kind of like a hodgepodge of different stuff. Um, why don't I? Well, why is it that I bring up the Cherokee Indians? I'm part Cherokee Indian, but the thing is that I think that a lot of times forget I, people. I think that the Cherokee Indians are just another example of how people were lied to and betrayed and deceived and were destroyed, and it also is another way that people are being lied to about the Trail of Tears ending. Um, I've talked to many different Cherokee Indians, and uh, unfortunately, one of them physically died several years ago. But he was busy telling about Jesus and where Jesus ended up going and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, wow. But because I mean, but he was that's part of the reason why I enjoyed talking to him. It is well, I mean, he was very enjoyable to end up talking to, but uh, he didn't keep the Cherokee Indian only perspective. And it a lot of the Indians end up calling it the Great Spirit. And to me, it's not the same as the Holy Spirit. And the but the thing is I'm not I oh the and one of the things that is just to me very dangerous is the attitude of forgive wicked, forgive evil, forgive, and it's just like I think that people really need to pick up the Bible and read what Jesus had to say about this stuff, and quit being deceived by the pulpits and by the wolves that are out there. I mean, I look at some of the ones and it's just like there's no doubt in my mind that there's so many wolves that are out there, but not only it's just like if I was walking in the woods and a wolf came up and after me, it would be like, oh, there's a wolf. Uh, and then I would probably get off the original path that I was on in order to escape from the wolf. And I know that's an analogy, but when I think about the wolves and basically it's like I'm on one path, and all of a sudden a wolf will come up, and it's like, and it's just like inevitably it's like I'm taking off the path that I should have been on. Um, and it's kind of like the Family Circus comic strip where the little child sits here and the mama says, "Oh, get such and such," and all of a sudden the child just wanders all over the place, and then finally hours later the child returns with whatever. My point being is all the different distractions and I also want to go back to the bit about the Low-T lawyers. What it is the lawyers, many of them have had classes dealing like the MMPI, which is the Minnesota, what is it, Minnesota Multi-Personal Inventory Scale or whatever it is. It, it, it I could sit there and look up the exact name of the acronym. It's MMPI. But anyhow, that that deals with assessing people's personality. And what it is the media, the mass media, is involved in promoting lawyers, and it's just like I mean, the mass media is involved in, oh, have a hangnail, take a pill, uh, don't like gray hair, take a pill, um, can't get to sleep at night, take a pill, um, don't like the way somebody treats you, take a pill, wow. 2 hawks just came by. Remember what I said about the hawks? But in looking at the magazines and the media and stuff, it's like it's almost like they're whores for the prescription companies, the pharmaceutical companies. And I guess that's the reason why it irritates me so much is I've been harmed by the pharmaceutical companies. It doesn't mean that they're going to be getting by with anything. All I'm saying is that just because a Cheshire cat in a white coat comes up and says that a prescription's going to be good, doesn't mean it's going to be good. And that's where it points to the medical doctors and the medical contractors and the pharmacists. And basically, the different ones that are out there. Even the same thing with the ones that are called researchers and stuff. And so, I mean, just who's the one with a screw loose? Somebody wanting to sit there and basically do some kind of genetic engineering to make a man or a woman's ear grow off of a mouse. I mean, just. And for some reason, the bit about Days of Noah just comes to mind. But anyhow, people can read the Bible on their own to figure out why I just said that part. But chances are, if it's in the media, if it's being advertised, as far as stuff goes, stay away from it. I'm not against black people, but what I'm getting at is, since the Black Lives Matter thing was one of the latest things that they decided to bring so much attention to, that's the reason why I'm bringing up the Black Lives Matter thing, is that who was behind promoting that basically absconded with several $1 million. And what really stinks is that there was a man who was black who had a statue topple down on his neck, and his neck is broken. But what really stinks is that George Soros and some of the ones that are in the kind of like the puppeteers, the man behind the curtain, behind their curtain, not my curtain, but anyhow, have been the ones to, for some diabolical reason, have had access and whatever funding in order to basically put it out in the mass media about the different protests. They're up to no good. I should probably. There's a part of me that just wants to go out and say what happened where, and just show just how just remember they're predatory. They're predators. That they have no empathy, little or no empathy. That they're up to no good. Their paths leave a path of destruction, and don't underestimate how they use their intelligence, which gets back to phrases like grandiose narcissism. Um, and also the reason why many of them do things like, oh, I also want to give an example of somebody who enables wicked. There's somebody that I know who is like wicked to the core, won't accept responsibility for being wicked to the core. It has made a choice to be wicked to the core. Has no chance from about repenting or changing from being wicked. And not only that, hangs around many who are wicked. I mean, I'm talking about, it's like the whole bunch of grapes is rotten. That's an analogy. But what would happen is I had talked to somebody and said, basically trying to warn them of how somebody was bad. And they immediately go back and tell somebody what what I'd said. And then later ended up doing some things, and it's like, well, shit, they're just as wicked. They're just subtle in what they do. Which brings up that when I look at things, that oftentimes there can be kind of like a poison ivy plant. Poison ivy plant can have like a poison ivy leaf, and then it can have the smaller, whatever they're called, that go up to the bigger bloom, if that makes sense. But it's like, no matter which way you approach the poison ivy plant, it's still a poison ivy plant. That basically there can be like a full-blown narcissist, psychopath, sociopath, whatever. But then yet you have the other ones that kind of like, oh, let's enable the biblical tear. Let's enable the hypocrite. Let's enable the basically the ones with the bad fruits, the waterless clouds, the twice dead, the soulless, the brute beast, and But that's where there's a when somebody makes a choice to do that kind of stuff, they're still making a choice. And when they choose to do the wrong thing, it doesn't mean that they're not going to be held accountable by the judge for what they've done. And I'm not talking about the judge or a judge in one of their courts. I mean, if their courts were so good, then why do people? Why are they known for destroying people's lives? I mean, just look at the Bible verse: Satan comes to kill, steal, and destroy. That's the reason why it's just like when I look back at stuff, and when I think about how I got lured in so much into things that I should have not been lured into. It came from outside sources. It came from different people telling me what I had to or needed to do, or it came from things like the mass media. I cannot stress the word mass enough. It deals with the Catholic connection. It deals with the pagan god connection. It deals with Dagon. It deals with Apollyon. I mean, just I might get some coffee and just give some examples of some stuff. I don't know. It's still cold outside. I might still go ahead and do it.